Well, I'm 19 years old. I live in Illinois, kind of north of Chicago area in a suburb called Waukegan. That's where my headquarters are. Some of my hobbies, I don't really have any like hobbies, you know, what I do is what I love to do. So I don't really have like a lot of stuff I do outside of that. I do like to bake, so whenever I get time, I like to do that and stuff. That's usually really fun, that I enjoy. I don't have any pets. I'm allergic to cats and dogs. So I've only been able to kind of have like a fish or like a water frog or like, you know, things like that. Things that I can't really like hold in my hand and like cuddle with and be like, oh, so cute. I have not been able to have any of those pets. So I don't have any pets. I don't have any fish or frogs right now, but I've been allergic to those, so yeah. Something unexpected about me, well, maybe I'll give you like a little hidden talent that I have, is I love to whistle, and I'm a very good whistler. Let's see if I can do a little something right now. That was me whistling fire. So for those of you that didn't know what that was me whistling fire. So yeah, that's something unexpected about me, a little hidden talent that I have. Well, I did grow up in the church and everything. My parents are pastors and founding pastors of our church for over 20 years. And so I did grow up in the church, and when I was about 12 years old, my dad, I was with my dad, and we were doing something, and he kind of just like looked at me or heard me talking or doing something. He's like, Maddie, you have a really good like voice, like very animated kind of like voice. Like we could do something with that. And so when I was 12 years old, we wound up creating my own kids show called the Maddie Rey Show. And this was where I would have these little like characters that I would interact with, and I would tell, you know, stories, and I would do like little lessons for kids, things from the Bible and the Word of God, and just kind of ministering the gospel through this little kid show that I did. And through that is when I kind of started incorporating music into it as well. So I started doing little songs for them, little music videos, nothing real big, just like pretty much like just little jingles and stuff. But that's kind of how I get started. So I would say that I was really active in ministry because I grew up in it my whole life. So my whole, you know, perspective was ministry. That's all I knew that I was doing, all that I wanted to do, all that I'd continue to do is ministry, because that's what I was around. My parents had ministered to young people. That was how we started our ministry. And so I was very active in that, because we would do, you know, Christmas giveaways where we'd give out gifts. We'd do back to school things where we'd give out backpacks. We had huge services. My dad had one of the largest ministries to children where we would bring in over 3,000 young people every single week. And so I was heavily involved in ministry. So it was no surprise that that's what I'm still doing today, and that's how God is using me. I wrote my own song when I was 15 years old. That was when I kind of wrote my first like song that I ever like, you know, created entirely myself. And it was funny because it was actually like a Spanish-English song that I did. I do not speak fluent Spanish now, but when I was in school, I had taken 5 years of Spanish, so I was like really fluent in speaking Spanish. And so it was during that time where I had gotten inspired from some other songs that I heard, and I'm like, let me try to do something with this. And so I wrote it. It was called Taking It to My Roots, because I am part Hispanic and all of that. And so I wrote it and I brought it to my dad. I'm like, Dad, I made this new song. I wrote it myself. I want you to hear it. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Kind of just blew it off, like, you know, well, it's probably nothing. And I sang it for him, and it even had like a little bit of rap in there. And I did it, and he was like, you wrote that? And he was so surprised and just like, what? Oh my gosh. And so that was kind of the start of me beginning to write my own music, my creativity coming out, and songwriting skills. And so that winded up going on an album that we produced called Overflow. Had about 8 songs on it. That was my first, that was the first music I had ever really put out on like iTunes and Spotify, and it kind of, you know, launched. That got some attention, and then I released 3 singles so far. Heart in the Air, Cruisin', and Fire. And Cruisin' and Fire are 2 other songs that I wrote myself, and those 3 singles were very successful. My first album came out in 2015, Heart in the Air came out in 2016, and then I released Cruisin' and Fire in 2017. And so those were just some really, proud projects that I had done that I was just glad to get out, knowing that I wrote them, that I put them together, and so just a really good launching board for me. So. My process for writing songs, it's a little bit different than kind of what most people do. A lot of people kind of get beats and melodies and kind of the song, the music aspect of it first. I kind of go towards the lyrics and everything first, and then I do my melodies, and then I give it to my team and I say, okay, now you make a beat for this, and unless I already have something in my head that I know I want them to do, or else I just give it to them and have them kind of, put something really nice to it that fits. And so I usually just, come up with my lyrics or, get a melody randomly and put all that together, and then have them put a beat, music, all that stuff to it. Yeah, Fire was a really fun song for me to write. It's probably my most favorite song that I've ever written, because it combines all, it's the kind of music that I like to listen to. So it's very, has a lot of oomph to it, just, really makes you move, kind of rocking out, but a lot of hip hop in there as well, and that's the kind of music that I love. So it was really fun to make, really fun to write. It was one of those songs that really just kind of came to me, and I'm like, okay, let me run with this, and I ran with it. My producer, he winded up making the music to it, and we finished out the lyrics, and came together really well, something that I'm really proud of, and the meaning behind it is really interesting. I talked about this in one of my other YouTube videos that I've done for YouTube, and I kind of talked about the meaning of the song, because a lot of times people will see it or hear it, and it's a really huge contradiction, because in the song, I'm talking about in there, I'm not a rock star, I'm not into all the smoke and fire and all of that stuff, but at the same time, I'm rocking out. I have this electric guitar, and I'm jamming and rocking, and there's smoke and there's fire on the screens and all this stuff. And so, but the fun thing is, about that song is it really, the song really gets you into it, and it gets you really excited and pumped up. And what I'm really talking about, which you'll hear in the special, is when I say it's not a performance, it's not about me, it's about a generation going to the King. And so the whole meaning of the song is wrapped up in that. Meaning I can have all this smoke in the background, I can have me on this electric guitar, but at the end of the day, it's not about me. This performance that you see as a performance, this is me using everything that I have, every gift and talent that God has given me to glorify Him, to lift Him up. And for me, I'm a very passionate person, so the way that I worship and praise God is very passionate, and so I'm gonna give my all, because that's what's getting me into the presence of God. That's what I'm doing to get close to God and to encounter Him. And so that's what the song is really all about, is just encouraging a young generation to just go to the feet of Jesus, to meet up at the throne of God, to connect with His heart, and to just really experience His presence through His fire coming down, through the passion that you're exemplifying, and all of that. So that's really the meaning behind it, kind of why I wrote it, and all of that. For the new year, I'd say it's really good, because it's a good way to just kick off the year. It's passionate, it's fire, and at the beginning of the year, when the year starts, we all got goals, we're all ready to just run and do our thing. I encourage young people, make one of your goals this year to be completely devoted to God, to be passionate and on fire for Him, and pushing towards getting closer to God and stirring up your relationship with Him. And so I think it's just a good, kind of song to put in front of you to just help you with that run towards the Lord, and to just continue pushing forward into His presence and into all that He has for you. Yeah, well, I do all of that. I am a Christian recording artist, I am a youth pastor, and I am a praise and worship leader. So I do, I do my pop and my hip hop music, but then I'm also part of a worship band called Generation Sing, and that's where we do worship music and all of that, and they travel, and I travel with them. And then I am a youth pastor, so anytime I go out and perform, I also minister and I preach and I share my message of Dwell, which you'll hear more about, is just kind of, a message that's really dear to my heart, encouraging a young generation to, really give their lives to the Lord. But the way that all of those really come together is just kind of my ministry is really to the church kid. It is to the young person that has grown up in church, because a lot of times that kid gets overlooked. And I know people will even say, you know, oh, we gotta go out, we gotta spread out, and we gotta tell the world. And it's like, yes, we do. And there's people that are doing that. There are so many people that are going out and spreading the gospel through their music to the world and to non-believers. But through that, sometimes a lot of young people that grow up in the church, that are pastors' kids, that have been in church their whole life, they get overlooked. Why? Because they know Jesus. But that doesn't mean that they're able to get the things that they need to keep that going. That's why you'll see so many young people that leave the church, or they use in gifts and talents and they just sell it out to the world. So for me, from the music that I do, to the way that I perform, the praise and worship that I do, and the message that I bring when I minister, it is all really for the body of Christ. My dad has always told me that I am to be a blessing to the church. Any church that I go to, any youth group, any youth conference, anywhere that I go, it's to bless them, because I know that there's so many young people that are Christians, that love God, and they want to keep that fire stirring, keep that passion going. And so for me, my music represents that, the worship that I do represents that, and ultimately, you know, my time of ministry and my message represents that as well. You know, as a Christian artist, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of wonderful things and travel and do just a lot of awesome performances and, you know, different opportunities that I've had. I'd say some of my really big moments that I've had, there was one, I got to perform at this Christian festival called Rise Fest, and that was awesome. I got to open up for bands like Toby Mac, Danny Goki, 10th Avenue North, Building 429, Mercy Me, KJ52, Loving the Outcome, all of them. I got to open up for them, and that was an awesome opportunity to be around them, to be considered as an artist, you know, as an independent artist, to be around them who are established, you know, just a great honor to be around them and accepted by them. I would say another highlight, you know, of my music ministry was the time that I got to go to Australia and perform, and I got to do a youth crusade out there, which was really awesome. I got to minister to young people out there in this really big arena, and it was just a great time being out there. It was with a ministry called Perth for Jesus, so that was really cool to be able to, you know, go outside of America to somewhere else and just see the young people that are on fire for God, pressing into God. There were, you know, thousands of young people that got saved that night, and it was amazing to be in a room full of thousands of young people that came for one reason only, and that's Jesus Christ. And so I love being a part of that. But another thing, you know, that's a really big highlight of my music ministry is the fact that I'm really supported by my church, and it's Church of Joy, and they've just given me so much support. Anything that I do in my music, anything that I do in my career, just all of it, it's all backed and supported by them. So every new song that I have, I perform it for them first. Everything, you know, that's about to come out, they know about it. Every move that I'm about to make, like, they're just there ready to support, and they have my back, and I'm so grateful for that. And that is probably the biggest highlight that I have, is to be able to have that backing, have that support, and really just that family from the body of Christ that's just there supporting and surrounding me. Well, my live performances are dynamic. There's a lot. I sing, I dance, I rap, it's very, you know, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm not just someone that just stands there with the mic and sings. I don't even like really call myself a singer, you know. I don't like when people are like, oh yeah, she's a singer. It's like, no, I'm an artist, because there's like a lot more that comes with it, you know. So I sing, and then I rap, and then I'll do these really big dance breaks, and I'll have backup dancers, and we're just killing it and doing all this stuff. And then I'll pull out, you know, an electric guitar and start just jamming with the audience, and a lot of crowd engagement. So you'll definitely feel like you're really engaged in the performance, because I don't just stand there and let you watch me. Like, I engage you as the person that's watching, that's wanting to see the performance. I love to engage, you know, with my fans and people that are there supporting my music. And so something though that I really love for people to come away with, really, you know, young people, because that's kind of what my music is really geared towards, you know, the pop and the hip hop and all that. It's usually young people that like listening to it. But what I really want them to go away with is for them to see an example of someone, you know, that has these gifts and these talents, and oh, she's cool, you know, and all of that. But for them to see, you know, you can use all of that for God, because a lot of times people want to sell that out to the world and just, you know, oh, you're a great singer, you're a great dancer, you're awesome, you're a star, you need to be doing this. And it's just like, well, why do I need to go out there if God gave me these gifts? And so I love always encouraging young people when I perform and say, you see me up here, and all of that, see me doing this, well, God can use you the same way. God can use you in a great way, but it's to glorify Him, not to just give and to just use it out in the world or whatever, but let God use you and let Him do what He pleases with your gifts and talents. So that's mostly what I want young people to go away with. Here we go. This is my message. This is what Maddie Rey is all about, the word dwell. You will see that on my merch. You will see that online. You will see that in my songs, in my videos. I always talk about dwell. That is my message, and it comes from a verse in the Bible, Psalms 27 verse 4. It says, one thing I desire, this only do I seek, is to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. And again, like I said, I'm really geared towards that young person that is a Christian, that's in the church, that wants to live their life for the Lord, because someone that's grown up in the church, someone that's a pastor's kid, I've come across, and I've even felt at times, and my dad had to help me with this, where you feel like you don't have a testimony because you grew up in the church, you haven't experienced anything, right? And so a lot of times young people go out looking for that. They're like, well, I gotta go experience this. I gotta go see what that's like and everything. And so anytime I have the opportunity to speak to a young person, whether it's thousands of young people or one young person that I find lingering around at the end of my conference or my concert or whatever, I always minister to them, and I tell them that the greatest testimony you could ever have is to say that I've grown up in the church my whole life and I've never walked away from God, but I've used my gifts and talents to glorify Him, and I've been serving Him all the days of my life. And I think that is the greatest testimony. When I'm performing, I'll get on the mic and I'll stop in the middle of my concert and I'll look at all of those young people that are looking back up at me and say, I can't tell you what it's like to be out in the world. I can't tell you what it's like to do drugs, what it's like to drink, what it's like to do all this with a boy and be promiscuous and all of that stuff. I can't tell you what that's like, but I can tell you how to live your life for the Lord, be on fire for Him, and serve Him all the days of your life with a heart on fire. And that's the message that I bring. It's the message of dwell. And I have a term for all of my fans and everyone that's in agreement with this message, and I call them dwellers. If you are in agreement with the dwell message, if you're a young person that's grown up in the church and you don't want to leave God, then you're a dweller. You are someone that's choosing to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of your life, to be in His presence and to never walk away from Him. Well, I'm just still continuing to do what I do. My music, got new music coming out this year, I'm in the middle of writing a book right now, and really just going to a lot of different conferences. If any of you that are watching this, you're youth pastors, or you go to a youth group, or you do a youth conference or whatever, I would love to come out and bless your young people. I would love to come out and share my message and my ministry with you. And so I'm really just continuing to let God lead me through this. My prayers are always, just to be in the will of God, to do what He has called me to do, not what I want to do, but what He's called me to do. And so if anyone, wants to pray for me, just, continue to pray that God opens the doors that need to be open and close the doors that need to be closed, and just as God just continues to lead me, I just want to continue to bless the church, bless this young generation, and just keep doing what He's called me to do. That's kind of all that I have. I do just want to mention a couple things. If you want to know more about me, you can visit my website at maddierey.com. If you're interested in more of the dwell message, or you want to represent the dwell message, all of my merchandise, which a lot of it says dwell, is on my online shop called the Dwell Shop. You can go on there, to buy some stuff online, some t-shirts or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of all that I have. I hope you check out my new single Fire that's out, my new music video for Fire that's out, and just continue to follow me. You can check me out on social media. Instagram is official Maddie Rey, Facebook official Maddie Rey, Twitter I am Maddie Rey, Snapchat I am Maddie Rey. Check out my YouTube channel, which is also official Maddie Rey, for other videos and stuff that I do, and all of that. But I'm so blessed to be able to do this interview with New Release today. Thank you guys so much for that, and I hope that everyone that is watching this, that you're just really blessed by everything that I had to say, and that it ministers to you.